Today, we're diving into an event that literally plunged the world into its deadliest conflict. We're talking about the invasion of Poland, a campaign that, in just 6 short weeks, completely redrew the map of Europe and rewrote the rules of war forever.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Our story doesn't start with some formal treaty or a big political speech. No, it begins with just a feeling, an unsettling rumble on the horizon that was about to become a deafening roar, signaling a change that almost no one was truly ready for. This is it. This is where the story of the Second World War really kicks off, and it starts with a pretty brazen act of deception. A German warship was making a so-called courtesy visit, but in reality, it was a Trojan horse just waiting to unleash chaos. At 4:45 in the morning, those massive guns just opened up, and that single violent act, it shattered the fragile peace of an entire continent. This wasn't just an attack. It was the formal, explosive announcement that the invasion of Poland had begun. But here's the thing. This wasn't going to be a replay of the Great War with its static trenches. Oh no. The invaders brought something totally new, something shockingly efficient, a military strategy built from the ground up for pure speed and overwhelming chaos. Blitzkrieg, lightning war. It wasn't just about having more firepower. It was about psychological shock. The whole idea was to hit so fast and from every direction at once. You've got tanks on the ground, planes in the sky, that the other side's ability to even think, let alone coordinate a defense, would just completely short-circuit. And this slide really lays bare the brutal mismatch at the heart of it all. Polish soldiers fought with unbelievable courage, sometimes using cavalry units and tactics from a whole different era. But they were riding straight into a mechanized storm of steel and fire. It was a tragic collision of 2 different centuries of warfare happening on the exact same battlefield. But look, even though they were so overwhelmed technologically and numerically, the story of this invasion is not just about defeat. It's a story of incredible person-by-person bravery that really came to define the Polish national spirit. 7. Just think about that. For 7 whole days, that tiny garrison at Westerplatte, the very first soldiers to get hit, they held out against a superpower. We're talking a handful of men against warships and waves of infantry. Their resistance immediately became this powerful symbol of their country's refusal to just roll over. And that incredible defiance wasn't just coming from the soldiers. In the capital, Warsaw, regular people, civilians, took up arms right alongside the army. They were digging trenches in city parks, turning their own homes into defensive strongholds, and they held on for weeks under a relentless, brutal siege as German bombs and artillery tried to pound their city into dust. But just as the defenders were fighting for their nation's life against one massive invader, a second shockwave hit them from the other side. And honestly, this was the moment that sealed Poland's fate. Yeah, this was a coordinated attack, a pincer movement. Thanks to a secret deal with Germany, the Soviet Union suddenly invaded from the east. All at once, Poland wasn't just fighting a war on one front, it was being systematically crushed and erased from the map by 2 of the world's most powerful military machines. And the trap just snapped shut with terrifying speed. Look at this. September 1st, Germany invades. 2 days later, you get a glimmer of hope. Britain and France declare war. But then, boom. On the 17th, the Soviets pour in from the east. Any chance of Allied help getting there in time? It was gone. Poland was completely, utterly alone. So by early October, the conventional fighting in Poland is over. But the shockwaves from this short, brutal 6-week campaign, they were just starting to spread across the entire globe. Let's be perfectly clear. This wasn't just another European conflict. This was it, the point of no return. The invasion of Poland was the undeniable, violent opening act of the Second World War, a conflict that would eventually drag the whole planet into the fight. And ultimately, the invasion was more than just a conquest. It was a horrifying, live demonstration for the entire world. It gave everyone a blueprint for a new kind of warfare, industrialized, fast, and terrifyingly effective. It proved that speed, technology, and pure psychological shock
could just steamroll traditional defenses. And so we're left with this really critical question, aren't we? The invasion of Poland wasn't just the start of a war. It was a fundamental shift in how wars would be fought from then on. It's a stark reminder of how quickly strategy and technology can change everything, forcing us to think not just about the past, but about our understanding of conflict even today.